Hey my thrifty friends, what is up? Tabs here from the Urban Goddess shop. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we are going to do a get shit done video. So this is my version of a chatty work with me. The only thing that's gonna be a little bit different today is that I'm actually not gonna be working while I'm doing this. I'm just gonna do a sit down kind of chat. I've been gone for 6 days and I have a lot of work to do, but when I do the work, I have to do the work because I don't know what my work schedule is going to be this week at the hospital. Yeah, let's just sit down and do a chat. I got a new chair for my YouTube videos. It's like a velvet green, like pea soup green chair. I love it. I've been looking for one of these for months and refused to pay $600 on Wayfair for one, but I got this one for $100 on Facebook Marketplace when I was in Winnipeg. It was such a steal. I actually look everywhere when we're traveling trying to find a green velvet chair, a vintage green velvet chair. And yeah, I'm in love with this. Okay, so let's just jump into it. Some of the topics we're going to cover today, I'm going to do my life update, business update, what's been going on in the last week. I had a petty moment with a customer and I know you guys are going to relate to this. I know you're going to relate. There was a Posh update that Jen from Posh Fox Closet posted and I wanted to share. Also, we're going to talk about box stores doing resale. And then I have a common question that shows up and it's like, why are my items not selling? And I have like a blurb that I want to talk about. And I think if you can address the questions I'm going to ask you, you'll probably start to have a good idea maybe why things aren't selling. If it's related, like not algorithm related, but if it's related to the items in your closet. Okay. Let's just jump right into this. So the first one is my life update. So I did come back. I was just in Winnipeg visiting my mom and my family. And I was down there for 4 days I was gone. So yeah, it was really good. It's good to go down and see them. And obviously I wasn't able to like list stuff or work on my business. So my sales have been down a little bit this last week, but more just because I'm not listing, you know, fresh new stuff. I have been relisting though. I try and make it a habit to relist at least every other day and like 10 to 15 items. And I have been finding that that keeps my items pretty fresh in the algorithm and I've been getting sales. So I'm hoping that maybe that's what one of the things they're wanting, right? Is that type of activity. As far as like work, I did work 1 day last week and then I was gone for 4 days. So that kind of just like wiped out my week. And this week I work at the rehabilitation hospital on Wednesday and I'm hoping they phone me tomorrow to come into work. So I would do Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday will be my business day because I haven't worked on my business in over a week. And then Thursday, we're getting ready to head out to the mountains because it's a long weekend here. So it is Remembrance Day, which is kind of like Veterans or Memorial Day, I think, down in the States. And yeah, so it's a holiday on Friday and we'll leave Thursday. So I have like a very short amount of time this week where I have to work my job, plus do my business, get my YouTube stuff going. So just working on that schedule and like staying very task oriented, right? Making my list. What do I have to do? What are my pockets of time? What are my priorities? And sometimes I find out of everything now, I will not stress about getting new listings. Where in the past, I used to be like, I have to list like 50 new items. And I would literally almost be in tears if I couldn't get my new listings because I felt like I had to do that to make sales. Where now I'm like, okay, I'm going to give myself grace. I'm not going to burn myself out over getting the new listings. But I know that I can relist items that are trendy that, you know, maybe I listed 3 or 4 months ago. So I don't necessarily relist everything in my closet, but I will selectively relist things. And sometimes I'll like relist things that I think are like nice, like Lululemon or Aritzia pieces, things like that, and just like push them so that they're more fresh into the algorithm. And when I say relisting, I'm using Prime Lister, I'm using a cross listing software to do this. I do not do it inside Posh. So as far as Posh is concerned, when I relist, they think every one of them is a new listing because I'm using automation, and I highly recommend it. I've said the spiel. I got a link down below if you want to try Prime Lister, but really like any cross listing software would help you do this. Okay, so that is like my life update, my business. I am trying to put more time into my business and only work 2 days in the hospital and really like push my business. I'm excited to see what happens over the next couple weeks as I really transition this focus and where I'm putting my energy right now. Sorry, I'm like also fighting a little bit of a frog in my throat. I think it's just all the travel I've been doing. Okay, so the petty moment. I know I'm always like, take the emotion out, don't get caught up. So someone had bought a North Face jacket from me. It was a quilted North Face jacket, down-filled, not like the big, like thick down-filled puffer, but you know, like little tiny kind of like quilted hexagon or like diagonal. I don't even know what you call it, but you know what I mean, like the little small puffer jacket. It was black and it was kind of like a mid-length jacket. It was really nice. So anyways, it sold and I sent it out, and as soon as she got it, she opened a case, and I was shocked because I was like, what is she opening a case on? Like, this doesn't make sense. This jacket is awesome. So she has pictures and she says that the item has 10 holes in it and there's feathers coming out. I'm like, it's a down jacket. So then I look at the pictures and I'm like, there's no holes. Literally, it's like the down, like a little bit of down poking at like where the seams cross. You know what I mean? It's like a couple spots. And I've seen this happen on a ton of jackets. And usually I just like poke it back in. Like I literally just take a little pin and poke it back in, or I'll just pull that one feather out. Like you got a million feathers in the jacket. Anyway, she is like, nope, this jacket is full of holes. And I'm like, I said to her, and she's like, you misrepresented it. If I would have known it was full of holes, I wouldn't have bought it. And I was like, she's being crazy. She is literally being crazy. I'm like, so I always address cases with facts. And I said, there was no misrepresentation about the jacket. This is a down-fill jacket. Those are not holes. It's actually common for a lot of down, and depending on, like, obviously there's super high quality down jackets. Like I'm going to say like a Canada Goose jacket that probably isn't going to leak feathers at that, like that. But this is not a high quality North Face jacket. Do you know what I'm saying? Like this is like the mid-tier sport check type jacket. And I said to her, like, that is actually very normal. Like that's normal with downfill. She's like, no, it has holes. I'm like, there is no holes. And I said, I did not misrepresent the item. I was straightforward with it. I took good pictures. And I just left it at that. And I was like, you know what? It's in Posh's hands, whatever they decide. If I get the jacket back, I'll relist it and sell it. But I was going to speak my piece into that case. And, it was so weird because nothing happened. And then like two days later, Posh sends me an email and they said the case has been, they've discussed with the buyer, the case has been resolved and my funds were released. I've never had that happen. And I thought it was really weird because they didn't talk to me. So they talked to the seller behind the scenes, obviously, like through their own conversation. And then I'm thinking they either did a partial refund or they did a full refund. I don't know what happened, but I've never had that happen where the case was resolved outside of the case. Have you ever had that happen? Have you ever had Posh comment that? Like, I don't know. And like I don't know. I just thought it was weird. I guess I don't get a lot of cases. Like cases I get are either like where I totally just say, yeah, I missed that. That was my mistake. That was a flaw I missed. And I can look at the pictures and be like, yeah, it probably was there. Or it's like a blatant, like, this doesn't fit me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have a lot of cases like this. So yeah, I was just kind of surprised. And I don't know if that's normal practice. Like, I'm trying to fight this frog in my throat. I don't know if they do that. So let me know if you've had a similar case and if they resolved it like that. Also, you know what? Why don't you drop in the comments and share a crazy case you've had in the last month or two. I'd love to hear what kind of cases are happening right now. And I also want to know the outcome. Did you win or lose? Or, you know, did the buyer win? Who won the case? But yeah, I was like angry and I could feel myself wanting to be petty as I was typing it. And I was like, just stick to the facts, just stick to the facts. But yeah, I don't always argue about things like that. And for that case, I was just like, no, I gotta state my piece here. Okay, that was my petty moment. Probably like not that bad, but yeah, still, I try not to engage when buyers are complaining or being negative or doing a case. But I'm happy I did because I at least got the funds released on that one. Next up, I thought this was such a cool one. So Jen from Posh Fox Closet, I don't know if you follow her, she's on Instagram. She's in Edmonton. So she shared something on her stories, and Posh did an update bulk edit. And the example she showed was that you could add your SKU after listing. So right now and you could do it in the bulk screen. So when you look at all your listings, there's like a column where you could add in the SKUs quickly. So right now, if you were listing and you weren't inventorying the item while you were listing, you would have to like go back into the listing, edit listing, add the SKU, save it, and repost it, right? So it's time consuming. Say you listed 25 items, you were going to inventory them, you know, in wherever you store your inventory. It is quite time consuming to go back in and change all those edits. But with this, it is so easy, and it's in the bulk edit feature. So now, yeah, you can just go in, you could have the screen pulled up, you could inventory everything and just quickly type it in and save it. So I'm happy with that. I hope they come out with more small, like Posh features that just increase productivity. I think what kills me sometimes is how many buttons I have to press on my phone to do something, like to add an item to a bundle. I despise how I have to click on the person, click on the 3 dots, switch to sell mode, add item, then send a message to the bundle. Like it needs to be streamlined, and I wish you could, you know, tap the username and then those 3 dots, that there was an option of add likes to bundles right there, like single, add likes to bundles, and then it would pull you into the bundle, like cue you to go right into the bundle, and then you could type in your message like, hey, running a sale, bundle, save 20%, whatever you were doing. But yeah, sometimes I feel like the productivity isn't there when I use Posh, and not that any other app is better. Like with eBay, you have to go into the app, you got to do send offers, you got to send offers on them individually, but productivity is something that I'm really high on, and there's just a lot of time wasted there. So yeah, I wish they could do that. And actually, I guess the productivity for Posh would be that you go to the My Shoppers feature, add likes to bundles to all of them, and send the message. But what I don't like about that one is that I can't see how many times I've messaged a person when I do that. Like sometimes if I am doing it manually, at least I can see, oh, I've sent them this message before, they didn't respond, so I'm not going to resend it. But with the bulk feature, it's like you're just sending it out into the universe, and you sometimes could be spamming people multiple times. Okay, so I thought that was so cool. Thank you, Jen, for sharing that. And it's just a new feature that if you're doing like bulk listings, that's a very helpful feature. Okay, next topic. I feel like we're just cruising through them, but this one might take a little bit longer. So a lot of box stores, I have like notes here, sorry guys, that are jumping onto resale, and what they're doing is buy back, and then they're giving credit in their store, or they are, yeah, it's all credit in store. None of it is like cash in your pocket. But I think it's going to have an impact a little bit on shoppers, and please share your thoughts on this, because I think we all have like different points of view on it. But yeah, so some of the brands that are doing it, Lululemon, which we all knew that came out in summer, Zara just announced, and Zara is a huge one. That is a very popular brand. I personally don't sell a lot of Zara, but I know a lot of resellers that post, you know, big success, lots of sales through Zara. Eileen Fisher, I did not know this. I actually did like a search to try and find different companies that were doing resale. Eileen Fisher will do buyback as well. REI, which we knew about, Patagonia would fall into that. Athleta, I think I've heard people talk about it. Again, this is not one that I recognize because I don't personally sell a lot of Athleta, but yeah, they have a buyback program. COS, C-O-C or C-O-S, that's a new one. That one just popped up, I think, a couple weeks ago. Shein, like, WTF, why is Shein jumping into the resale? I do not get it. Like, their clothes are literally single use. Wear once, fall apart. Wear once, wash and dry, fall apart. Like, How are they doing a buyback? So my understanding with Shein though is that it's not necessarily like buyback to resale. It's just buyback for textile. And then I think you're getting credit to buy new stuff. But this does not sit right with me. This is like greenwashing to me. This is not actual recycle. I can't even imagine that they're actually going to recycle the textiles. They are such a fast fashion, horrible brand. I just can't even imagine that they're going to be buying back these textiles to reuse them. Because what some of the companies do is they buy back the textiles and then they repurpose them. So like Levi's does it, Patagonia does it. What the heck? There was like, I think Lululemon is doing it a little bit. They're starting to have like a line that's made of recycled materials. There are other companies that are doing it. I just don't believe that Shein is one of them. And I mean, Zara is a fast fashion brand. Pretty Little Thing was another one that I saw. So like, I mean, all of these could actually be kind of like fast fashion, I guess Shein being the worst culprit. But if they're putting out like H&M actually would be another one. And I saw that like Shein, H&M, and I think Zara all kind of rank pretty similar, where they have like tens of thousands of items going out. Like they produce way more than the average brand as a single brand. Don't quote me on that. I feel like I read that in an article and those were the 3 brands. So I've also heard that Shein will produce all these different items. They'll put them on the website, but they only produce, we'll say just for numbers, like 5,000 of the item. If the item does well, then they will continue to produce it. If it doesn't, they drop it off. So that's, I've heard on their website, that's why there's like 500,000 different items you can buy, because they'll like produce something, but they'll do it in small batches to see if people sell it. Still, whatever, I don't care. I hate Shein. I hate it. Like at my core, I will never buy it. I do not support it. And I do not want to see it in my house. That is the truth. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the impacts are on resellers. Right now, I personally don't think it's a huge impact, because it doesn't put cash in their hand. It gives them a credit to the store. I didn't look up all the buyback programs. I have looked up the Lululemon one before, and it really wasn't that great. I feel like most people that own Lululemon would have better luck selling their item on Facebook Marketplace, making some cash and taking that and going and buying a new item. I think where it would come into handy is that they kind of look at it as like a broad, like sweaters, jackets, and they actually, to me, it didn't seem like they cared how old the item was, as long as it was in excellent used condition. Like that was the only stipulation. I mean, realistically, how many people have 10 or 15-year-old Lulu that's in excellent condition? Because like, I feel like 10, 15 years ago, the material they were using pilled, it faded, it, you know, just like whatever, I feel like they had more manufacturing issues back then. I feel like their materials have changed over the last 5 years. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I stand on this, but I find it very interesting that so many brands are jumping onto it. And I foresee more brands doing this over the next couple of years, because this is a movement. Secondhand clothing, secondhand e-commerce market, it is a movement. It's not going anywhere. People are turning to it more and more often. And I think these manufacturers now know that if they don't jump on board, they're losing out, right? It's the same as Nike. If Nike doesn't jump on board and say, hey, we're not allowing mass buying, we're going to do this, then they're the ones that are losing the money at the end. So for them, it's more money in their pocket. And I think it just keeps people going to their stores too. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on these on these box stores and, you know, clothing companies, and I'm going to call them fast fashion companies, doing resale and buyback? What do you think about this? I want to know. I am like dying, because I feel like there's not enough discussion in the community about this. Now we're going to go to the last one, and this one I could talk on for a while, because this is actually one of the most common questions that I see in comments, that I get in my Instagram DMs. Like, this is a very common thread. And what it is why are my things not selling? Can you look at my items? Am I priced high? Do I have good things in my closets? or in my closet, and I get a lot of questions to do consulting, and it's really been a thought of mine. I've wanted to do it. I just haven't been able to fit it into time, and I guess kind of looking at it from the business perspective, what would I charge? What level would I be putting into it? And what obviously are you guys getting out of it? Because I would want everyone to get the most bang for their buck, what they're paying me. So right now I don't do consulting, but if I was going to do consulting, I would be asking these questions. And if you're like wondering why things aren't selling in your closet, now there's like algorithm, there's recession, like there is so many things going on right now that your items could not be selling because of that. Like that's out of our control, right? But I would also look at these things, and these would be more internal. So my first question to you, very first question, do you check comps, which is comparison pricing for solds on the items that you are buying? Do you check the items before you buy them? Do you know that these items are selling currently? Do you know the value of these items brand new? Do you know what they're selling for? Like, do you know what to expect and what you should be listing and what you should be selling it for before you buy it? Because that is like my first question. That is actually the number one thing that I changed in my business like over a year ago that had the impact that it has had on my business, was when I actually started making business decisions when I was sourcing. Not just looking at it and being like, I'm paying $2, this will sell. No, I don't care. I don't want that stuff. I only want quality items that are selling for over $40 or $45. And I know this isn't realistic for sourcing for everyone, but it's like working with what you have locally and then what can you flip. And I had someone recently reach out to me and they said that, you know, they didn't have very good sourcing locally. Bins were multiple hours away. Thrift stores were very overpriced. And I think what you have to find is, what can you do within your means? If I couldn't source locally, I would obviously have to be doing some retail arbitrage or online sourcing. And there is lots of methods to do that. There's lots of videos out on how to do that. But I would definitely want to know, what are the items selling for before I buy them? And then look at my cost of goods, what it's going to sell for, and is it worth it? Is that profit worth picking up? The other thing is like, do you think that this is current, right? I have my vintage items, but if I don't feel like something is current, and usually it's like a 5-year mark, I'm really going to be hesitant grabbing it unless it has other factors that make it trendy and current. But if I am unsure about an item, I probably am not going to take the risk on it. So while we're talking about this, again, I think this is like the number one thing. So there's like 3 factors to me for a listing to sell. Are your photos good? You take good photos, because I think that can make or break an item. Are you priced right? Is your pricing good? Are you way out to lunch on it? Also, are you super cheap? Because sometimes people filter, like say they want to find a pair of jeans, they're filtering them for 25 to 75, because maybe they know that their jeans are selling in that price range. And I think sometimes people are hesitant when jeans are underpriced a little too. So be cautious with that. I think you should be pricing at fair market value. Also, everyone wants a deal. So whether you list those jeans for $25 or you list them for $55, those people are going to want a deal on it. Even if you're already giving them a fantastic deal at $25, someone is going to want a better price on it. So I think for that reason alone, you definitely have to look at how you're pricing items. And then the other one, is it current? Is it relevant? Is it trendy? Does it fall into a category of like trends, styles, vintage, like whatever? Or is it just an item? Like, is it just a shirt? Is it just the jeans or just a sweater? Knowing your trends, like these are all things. So if you look at your closet, I would say look at the very first row of items you just listed and search comps and see what are those items selling for. And if you aren't finding very many items, or you're looking at sold comps and they're like $10, or it's just like not a desirable item, that's probably why you're not getting a lot of movement. And I think right now, I don't know. So I guess another question I have for you guys, because everyone has different business models. I would like to know, what is your average sale price? So your ASP, what do you generally see? Like, do you sell items between $15 and $25? Do you sell items between 20 and 30? Like, whatever. Give me like a $10 or $15 range of what your average sale price is. And then I would like to know how your sales are comparatively to like previous months or this time last year, or in general. Are your sales up or down? Because what I have been finding is that my sales are like kind of relevant to how much I'm listing. I mean, besides for the on-off days with Poshmark, but like generally my sales are relative to how much effort and work I am putting into my closet. But I also sell all my items, generally all my items are listed for over $40 or $45. And my average sale price is somewhere around probably $50 when items are selling. So I have like a theory that through this right now, as money is tight for so many people, inflation, the cost of living, there are people that are going to feel the pinch the most. And there are people that will feel it a little bit less, you know what I mean? And generally, I feel like the people that are spending, you know, $50, $75, $100 or more on their clothing, or they have an office job and this and that, and not that they're not going to feel the pinch, but the person that is buying all the $10 items is probably going to feel more of a pinch. Like, I'm not trying to socially box people, but there are different demographics for shopping, right? And it's, what I wonder is, are these different, is each demographic kind of feeling the recession and inflation differently? I mean, that's just kind of my thought. So what I think what I would like to know is, what is your average sale price and how are your sales right now? And then also think relative to what you're putting into your business, because sometimes people will be like, my sales are so down. And I'm like, oh, how many items did you list in the last 2 weeks? And they're like, 10. I'm like, well, your sales are down because you're only listing 10 items. And that's not for everyone. I know that's not for everyone, but like, think it through. Okay. So yeah, those are kind of like things that I have been thinking about, and these would be what I would be looking at if I was doing like a closet analysis with someone. Photos, pricing, and trendiness. And if you don't know if your items are trendy, then you need to learn. You have to educate yourself. You have to do research. You need to go onto these websites. Like, go, if all your items are from H&M, you need to go on H&M. What's trending on H&M right now? If your items don't look like they fit in with that, then they're probably not on trend. And that's part of being a reseller, right? Is learning how to do this. Okay, so another question I get often was like, how do I search comps on Poshmark? And what I do, this is like exactly what I know. Some people go way in depth. I don't. But I feel like because I've comp searched probably like 10 or 20,000 items, honestly, I have a better idea when I look at things. So what I do is I search by item, brand, and style if I know the style. And then I will drop down into the filters. I will change the size because it always wants to go to your size. So I tap that check mark and then it goes to all sizes. Once I'm into all sizes, I will go then to filter down to available, and I set it to sold. And then this is only going to show me sold items. You have to keep in mind that some of these items are going to be in bundles, so it's going to show you the asking price and not necessarily the price that it broke down to when it was purchased in the bundle. And that's kind of the tricky thing about Poshmark, is that you don't always know if something is a true sold. So what I like to do is I'll kind of scroll and maybe look at, 10, 20 items and look at what are the lower ones, what are the higher ones, and then what do I think is reasonable. And that will also depend on like the style, the trend, how current it is, right? So there's like different factors. I think this is where you have to use your judgment. You can also go into eBay and do the comp searching, which is much easier. It's a different market depending on items. So there's certain items I sell on Poshmark because I know I'm going to get better money than I will on eBay. And there's like I feel like the items that I'm selling the most do a lot better on Poshmark monetary wise than they do on eBay. So yeah, I do try and do my comp searching on Poshmark. I find with this, it just takes time, repetition, learning what's selling, trial and error. I mean, I list a ton of items that I end up marking down by 30 or 40% just to sell them. So when I buy them, I check comps, I feel like this item's going to do good, and it still doesn't do good. So it's not it's not like foolproof. It's not like this is the exact rules of how it's going to figure out and it's always going to be right. But I use this to kind of just give me an idea when I'm doing my pricing. So bottom line, search solds for every item. I don't do this as often, but when I transitioned my business, I did this for at least 6 months. Every item that went into my cart, I searched up the solds on it. I did not take chances. If there was no solds, or I was like questioning it, or the comps just weren't showing the profit margin, I would be realistic with myself. Okay, this is an older item. Yeah, it looks like it's only selling for like $35, $40. That doesn't really meet my profit margin, so I'm going to leave it. Not that it's a good item, not that it wouldn't sell, but I'm looking for a certain dollar value. Oh yeah, so I have my notes here. So part of this is I used to thrift for an hour, and I would literally spend 45 minutes looking up solds, like searching every item. So it is time consuming at the beginning, and I know I've heard also people comment that they just don't have time to do it. This is your business. You have to make time for it. Otherwise, you're just throwing your money away, right? So maybe you source less and comp search those. And then if you still have some extra time, you go back and you search some more items. You go find some more items, right? But I do think it's a crucial point until you know what's selling and you know what's trendy and you know what these comps are, because you're selling these items repetitively. And I think it's a lot easier too when you sell a certain brand a lot. So I sell a lot of Aritzia and quite a bit of Lululemon. So I don't have to search them anymore really, because I know what they'll sell for. But if you are, say, a binge shopper and you're grabbing all different brands, I would probably look them up. Like I would probably search up some of these brands. You may find surprising value while you're there. I probably wouldn't pick up as many low value items, because it's great that you have a low cost of goods, but you still have to have the time to list them all and store them, which again is another issue for me. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like knowledge is power. I always say that the more you know, the better reseller you will be. And in order to gain that knowledge, you have to look these things up. Another way that you could build brand knowledge is, I like to do this, is at night in bed, I will go to a specific category on Poshmark and I will search solds, but I will filter it for $50 and up. And I'm only looking for high value items. And basically I'm looking for brands that I was never familiar with, that I didn't know. So if I see something, I'm like, what is that? And it's sold for like $98. Okay, I'm going to click on that brand and I want to look at all the solds that are falling under that brand. Was that a fluke item? Was it a rare item? Did it fall into a bundle and it, the buyer didn't actually pay that? Or is that an item that I am like, is that a brand that I should be seeking out? Sorry, the lighting is changing outside and I don't have the lights on in my room. But yeah, I think knowledge is power, repetition, you will get there. This was a very long-winded rant on why my items aren't selling, but I think that's a really good place to start. And it's something that you can do in your own closet, right? So you can take the items, you can search them, you can still search comps on items that you have in your closet, and that'll give you a better idea. Also, if the items in your closet aren't selling, then you need to start searching comps when you're outsourcing and stop sourcing so many items of whatever you've been finding, because obviously those are not selling, So then you got to focus on, okay, what is actually selling? And things change year to year, season to season, month to month. Items that I was selling, a month ago may not be moving as well. Lulu leggings was an example. I couldn't give them away, 2 months ago. And all of a sudden they're starting to sell again, and they're selling for like $75, $85, which is really good value. So that was something that had changed that I noticed. But okay, that was everything I wanted to talk about. I am really looking forward to reading your comments and hearing what you guys have to say about these topics. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is such an awesome community. I love these videos. It's such a good way for us to chat and share our ideas and really just work together. So if this helps you in your reselling business, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Also tap subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I am wishing you all many sales as I'm like sitting in the dark. And I'll see you next time. Bye.